Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about something that I thought about this morning when I was watching a couple different things that are out there. So let me put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing, work on scaling my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. And people are going to be like, Jason, why are you being such a hater? You know what, guys, I'm actually going to speak from experience with this. Yes, I came up with the thing with the keto diet by watching Dr. Mike debate with Memo about keto diets. As well as looking at an article by someone on my social media that they put up about building muscle on a vegan diet. And it's this whole topic comes up of when people want to do these insanely restrictive diets, of having the need to actually try to come up with strategies to maximize building muscle on these diets that make it harder to build muscle, really just seems counterproductive and counterintuitive. Here's what I would say to people. Stop doing these insane diets. Stop doing these insanely restricted diets and this problem goes away. Now, some people are going to be like, well, how dare you? I believe this or that is vegan. Well, you know what? That's fine. You have a right to believe whatever you want as a vegan, and if you believe it's ethical and right, then you should probably do it. But you need to understand that you will have a hell of a lot more challenges building muscle and building strength. It's not going to be as easy. And for anyone who wants to say you don't know what you're talking about, I do. I have hit a 500-pound squat as a vegan before when I was a vegan. I did do veganism for a while. I did try it. I've been on YouTube a long time as a lifter. I did have like an 8-month period of time in my life where I gave veganism an honest go, and I did hit a 500-pound squat as a vegan on camera. But did I build my base as a vegan? No, I didn't. But I also ran into the challenges that are associated with gaining strength and muscle and optimizing body composition and things as a vegan. It's hard. It's hard. And quite frankly, unless you very, very seriously believe in it almost at the level of a religion, it's difficult. It's problematic. It will make your life harder. It will make your results harder. It will make life more difficult for you as an athlete. It will make life more difficult for you as a lifter. It comes with hardship. And so what I would tell people, if you think that it's some silly health reason, then that's a bad idea. If you think it's going to make you a better athlete, that's a bad idea. If you do it because it's a borderline religion to you and that's what you believe, that's fine. That's your prerogative. Do what you have to do to feel good about yourself. But you need to understand that you can't have that nonsensical approach of, oh, it's just going to require some little simple strategies and I'll be just fine. No, it won't. Because again, this is a case of a diet to where you have less access to bioavailable protein. Getting enough protein in and getting enough bioavailability to maximize not only your muscle growth but your recovery from training is difficult. It will require you to be mindful of it every single day. And you know what? Getting these things right on a balanced diet can already be challenging enough to the point of where people have to hire dietitians and sports nutritionists to help them get what they need. When you start throwing in an element like cutting out all animal products, given the fat-soluble vitamins, the amino acid uptake, the bioavailability of the protein, the enormous difference in these things, you are literally doing it with one arm tied behind your back. And I'm not saying it can't be done, but you are going to have to be extremely well-versed in nutrition, and you're going to have to put careful planning into what you eat every single day for your entire lifting career if you actually want to get good results. It will create challenges. So what I would tell people is if you're going to do something like that, you damn well better make sure that you believe it, and if you're not 100% behind it ethically or whatever, you probably need to drop this silly shit because it's going to interfere with your results. It's going to make life harder. I wouldn't actually, if I were coaching right now, if I were to go be a coach, people always want me to coach. I can tell you right now, I wouldn't take clients who are vegans. I wouldn't, because I don't want the results they're going to get when they screw the diet up. I don't want their results reflecting upon my business. That's how serious that is. Same thing, we come over to the ketogenic diets. I've done ketogenic diets. I have bulked as a keto dieter before. But I wasn't strict keto. I required carb loading. You know, and that was the whole thing that I took from watching this whole conversation with Memo and Dr. Mike and everything, that, you know, Memo pointed out, well, you know, if you have people do a targeted ketogenic diet, you can keep them in ketosis and they'll get the benefits of ketosis, which are, for those who aren't aware, less appetite. Appetite control. That's the benefit of ketosis. You get less hungry. That, you know, you can get similar results to guys on higher carb diets in his experience when we're only dealing with lifting, not athleticism, just lifting, you know, not serious sports. Sorry, powerlifting bros. Let's be honest, man. We're not the greatest athletes in the world in terms of athleticism. We're strong. But, you know, truth be told, our total workloads don't compare to a American football player, to a basketball player, to a rugby player, to a boxer. Come on, their total workloads and their conditioning work and everything thrown in with having to do strength training, explosive training, agility training. We're relatively one-dimensional. I'm not saying strength isn't the most important. Strength is, in my opinion, the most important performance element that you build everything else off of. But they are more multidimensional, and they burn through a hell of a lot more energy. But the point he got to was that you can get similar results, or close to similar results, but it's like, look at the complexity that goes into it. All right? You're still not really keto dieting. Same thing, you take like Jamie Lewis. Jamie Lewis is an example a lot of people use. Jamie Lewis is jacked. He is ripped. He is brutally strong. Also abuses gear, but he also doesn't do keto all week long. He carb loads on the weekends, so it's more of a cycling ketogenic diet, and he eats up to 400 or 500 grams of protein a day to pull it off. I can tell you right now, the overwhelming majority of you are not going to be in ketosis or be on a keto diet when you're eating 400 grams of protein. It's going to kick you right out. But the point we get to is that all of this complexity that people throw in, you still have less potential for muscle growth. I mean, you have what Dr. Mike pointed out. It comes down to things like circulating insulin. People need to understand that. Everyone's afraid of insulinogenic foods for lifters because of this nonsense that there's this insulin obesity model. It's not based on reality, guys. Insulinogenic foods and insulin response to food is associated with muscle growth a hell of a lot more than it is with fat gain. And we get to the point of insulin-mediated and carbohydrate-mediated recovery. We know that full glycogen stores, not just training, because that was a debate they had. You know, you're talking about training versus actual recovery and nitrogen retention. When you have full glycogen stores, it's not that big of a deal for training for lifters. We don't, unless you're doing ultra high volume, it really isn't that big of a deal. Hell, I train fasted these days. But it does matter as far as the glycogen stores for recovery and total muscle growth. That full glycogen stores are associated with more muscle anabolism. They are associated with higher IGF-1 levels in the muscle. They are associated with faster recovery rates in your muscle tissue. So it's not just about the training end. You are putting yourself at a distinct advantage for trying to maximize muscle growth the moment you start reducing carbohydrate intake. You really are. And you end up with a lot of complexity trying to hopefully get 99% of the results of someone on a higher carb diet, but with this big margin for error. But at the end of the day, what people need to remember, these are strategies that people are using, whether it's a vegan diet, whether it's a ketogenic diet. These are strategies people are trying to use for a diet that is so far suboptimal and often in the opposite directions for maximizing muscle growth that they're trying to find band-aid fixes to make it work. When the point that I would make to people, look, if you're trying to gain muscle right now, neither one of these diets are appropriate. People are trying to slap band-aid fixes on inappropriate diets towards a goal. When I would tell people, honestly, why don't you, when you have a certain goal, like your goal is, I want to gain muscle right now, okay, follow an appropriate, more balanced diet towards your goal. It makes a hell of a lot more sense. It makes sense, and it's all this complexity and nonsense that people come up with in the fitness world. They're doing this stuff, and there's no advantages to any of it. You're just making it harder and more difficult. People are making it more difficult, more complex than it needs to be, trying to pound a round peg into a square hole. Right? That's what they're trying to do. And you might make it work, and it might fit, but it's a hell of a lot easier to just use the appropriate diet towards your goals. It really is. It really is. And at a certain point, people need to understand that and realize that. I mean, we could talk in detail about the nuances. Yes, I could help someone absolutely try to maximize as much muscle growth as they can get on a ketogenic diet. I could help someone on a vegan diet gain muscle and strength. I've done it. But the point is, why? It makes, we set all this analysis aside and all this data aside and say, common sense should dictate that you should just probably use a more appropriate tool for your goal. And neither one of these diets are the appropriate tool for the goal of maximizing size or strength. They really aren't. They aren't, and they never will be. Doesn't mean you can't force them to work, but they are not even close to being ideal. You know what? In training and getting results and gaining muscle and strength or changing body composition, all these different things that we want to do, they're hard enough. These are things that people spend thousands of dollars a year on hiring experts to help them with all the time. They're already hard enough in their own right. Why do we need to make them more complex with suboptimal diets? Come on. It just doesn't make any sense. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.